It's a two-way street. Every time we give, we get a little bit of meaning back. Today, let's discuss being a part of the giving circle and the collective impact small impacts of kindness can have on our perspective and well being. We welcome the minds of Nashville, Tennessee singer-songwriter Justin Love and Andrew Brady of Featured Cause, Rochester's Next Generation Rochester. I'm Amanda Ashley, and this is episode 81 Give Back. Welcome to Afternoon Cocktail. Hey, Justin Love, how are you? Welcome to Afternoon Cocktail.
Welcome. Excuse me. Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me. I
Hey, no
already
problem.
made aware of my audience on Facebook that I would not be performing, which is unfortunate. But I don't want to. I've got a show tonight, everybody. So I'm trying to keep my voice in check for it. But I
Cool.
still am.
Where's your show tonight?
It is downtown at Alley Taps over in Printers Alley.
So, what has the scene like in Nashville been right now after that bombing? I mean, did that shake everybody? I mean, it's got to have shaken everybody up a little bit, right? That's not that far from Printers Alley.
Yeah, no, it's actually when you go down Printers Alley, like right across the street, you can see some of like the effects of like what took place from the bomb explosion. I will say personally, I live in Antioch, which is about 15 minutes south of
Okay.
Nashville. So, truth be told, in the midst of all the chaos, I woke up with no service and I was sleeping, just peacefully. But I couldn't tell everybody that I was okay because I was one of the people. I have AT&T, so I was without any type of service for 2 days. So it was great too. I hated the fact that I couldn't get a hold of anybody. I turned my hotspot on just to let people know I was all right. But my thoughts and prayers were with those that were, affected by the bombing. It was a very sad, tragic incident.
Yeah, that's so crazy. I mean, I feel like Nashville has had one hell of a year. Like, I have one of my very, very good friends, lifelong friends, lives in Nashville, and I made some connections out there. And I just like, just seeing everything that's happening. Our world sometimes, I swear, it feels like it's just on fire. And like I just love you guys. I love that city so much. So like it hurt me like to see like between the tornadoes, and then businesses getting hurt with coronavirus like right after that, and then a bombing. Like it's like, geez, poor Nashville.
Right. Fascinating
Yeah.
in those chaotic events. I was sleeping through the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I was a little bit unaware of what took place. Whenever the tornado took place, I had 40 plus messages like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And I'm waking up going, "What happened?" I still didn't even know. I didn't hear the sirens. I was sleeping like a baby. It was nice. But it was definitely unfortunate. Nashville has been through a lot, but one thing that is also amazing about Nashville is it comes back 10 times harder and fights harder. The community has jumped in so much. I was at the event last night of Whiskey Jam, and they're selling Nashville Strong shirts, or We Love Nashville shirts, and all the proceeds are going to the people that were affected by the bombing. So
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, it's funny how in the wake of tragedies, people really do pull together. I remember like, I mean, I was 16 when 9/11 happened, being brought up in Long Island, and people just like, a lot of people would commute from the area that I was in, the Long Island Railroad, um, ended at Ronkonkoma Station, and that was like 15 minutes from where I was brought up. And a lot of people would commute into the city for their daily lives, and just seeing how people pull together and were just a way more empathetic. Trying to take care of each other in some ways that they didn't beforehand.
right,
You see this stuff only in times like these, except times like these. Right now, things are crazy, but yeah.
yeah.
Where are you originally from?
Oh, a very famous place called Waco, Texas.
Oh, very cool. So when did you move out to Nashville?
I moved out to Nashville May 11th of 2013. So I'm coming up on my 8-year anniversary.
Excellent. Does it still feel new to you in some ways, or has it always felt like home?
I so I'm a very uh what do you call it? Outgoing person. I'm a serious extrovert. So since day one, I have been all about meeting people, making music, and finding a way to make an impact. The 3 M's I live for is what I say. But uh, I've been this way since 5 years old. Not a shy bone in my body. And for me, when I moved here, it was like I was just jumping right into networking right out of college. And I was like, okay, I got here and I was networking and I was already getting into places, doing the writers rounds and all that jazz. And I'm still doing them because they're just as important. That audience is just as important as the ones that are, downtown listening to cover gigs. But I still feel like there is certain moments where it feels new, especially when a new artist comes to town and asks me, how did I get going? What did I do? What were the steps that I took to get in certain places? And I simply told them, relationships are everything here. And,
So true.
when you focus off, when you focus and take your mind off of performing on a stage and focus on the people that are out in the crowd, it gets a little bit more exciting, at least for me, because yes, performance is important, but passion for what you do starts with the people that are listening, not what you're saying, because they help you say it better. They're the ones that are going to be out there going
That
or
extends
going,
to that
eh,
extends to anything, any type of business that if and your passion,
yeah,
if you're yeah, you exude that passion and those relationships that you make with anybody within business, within your personal lives too. We all impact each other in so many ways, and a lot of the times it all floats under the radar, we don't even realize what we're learning from each other till like years later. But
yeah. It's absolutely, and I guess that's the exciting thing for me is I've always been about the mystery of the unknown. So I moved up to Nashville on $650 a truck and a trailer. 8 years later, I'm still here, and that's only because of two things: God and the people in my life. My passion for music has always been there, but then I also have a passion for people and hearing their stories, and that's what makes it exciting for me because I get to write music based off of that.
Yeah, definitely. So were you doing a lot of touring before, COVID hit?
No, so the thing that I was doing for several years here in Nashville is I was honing my craft. Um, I have been writing with a ton of writers, and then when you write with everybody, you start trying to you start figuring out which ones you gel with best for your specific catalog and what you want to say, and how you want to say it as an artist. And I finally got those people in my life that I call up and I say, hey, I want to write this kind of song for this kind of event, and for this specific cause. And they're like, okay, let's do it. So I wasn't really doing the touring. No, I was still working full time, still am, have my full time job
What is your
in water.
full-time job? You're there right now, right? This is your lunch
Yeah,
break, pretty much.
I'm in water testing for the environment. So during all this chaos, I was able to keep my job, thankfully, and put
Mhm.
music out in 2020, which was nice. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely fortunate. So tell us about the music you've put out. What are you most proud of?
Whew. Okay, well, if I'm being honest with myself and my audience and everybody that's listening, my most favorite song to date, still that I've written, was with my good buddy Troy Castellano, and it's called "I Wanna." We released it back in July of last year, I believe. And we had some international radio success over in the UK, I think Australia, and I think a little bit of a play in Canada. But it was a really cool thing for me because the way the hook came to me was I was at work and I drive a lot. I have to pick up a lot of samples from clients, and I was driving and I just had this hook hit me, and I was madly in like with this girl. Um, and I say that because I already saved my name. My last name is Love. I don't like throwing it out there too casually, but madly in like with this girl. And the very first thing I thought of whenever she was like, the only thing I can think of is like, you know how like a Miley Cyrus movie, whenever she turns real slow back to that guy and gives him that look with her hair in the wind or whatever. It's like the guy melts, you know, and it's called a Disney, I guess. But anyway, so I had that happen to me. And the very first thought I had was, I want to tell you that you're beautiful in more ways than the obvious. How can I do that with what I do? And I wrote a song out of it. I had this melody already coming to me, and I got to Troy's and I said, Troy, it took me 2 years to get in a room with Troy because he runs something exciting called Instruments for Education. He goes in and donates instruments for people in classrooms to learn to play at schools. It's really cool. But anyways, he was doing that, and I got in a room with him finally, and we hashed out the song. I had maybe a few melody ideas, but he jumped in where I was lacking, just so perfect. And I thank God for that, because that's what made the song such a win for me. And those are the people you want in your life, the ones that believe what you're saying is kick-ass, but also is impacting, you know, melodically, lyrically, structure, instrumentation. I mean, I'm big about that mess. If I'm going to put it out there for somebody to listen, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be very professional quality, because you're in Nashville. You're not here to mess around.
You know, I think about this. I'm working with two of my students on songwriting. I've been like coaching them on
Mm-hmm.
songwriting. And I just, every time I think and I go back to it, and you know, it's different when you teach something, right? You look at the fundamentals of stuff differently, but also you you look at it from the perspective of what it's done for you over time. And today's theme is give back. And I feel like songwriting has, for as much as you could give to other people, right? And how they could interpret your songs or anybody's songs, you know, like some of their favorite songs give so much to them in certain moments, you know, of time, especially. And
Mm-hmm.
I just think about that, you know, the impact as a songwriter, what I want to give to my audience, but also in that moment, making sure that I'm giving myself and I'm releasing what's, you know, either plaguing me or what's making me feel good. I'm releasing that in some way that it gives back to somebody else. Do you agree with that? Is that how you write?
Absolutely. You know, the thing I think about when I'm in a room is how can I impact who's the listening the most, but also in the process make sense of it and relatable to me and who I
Yeah,
am.
you still want to be authentic about it, right? Like you want to keep
Absolutely.
certain things in mind, but you want to stay true to, yeah, I'm right. I mean, sometimes you don't have to think that hard about it, you know. It's just
Mhm.
you're writing a song because it's what's either weighing on you or what you have to get off your chest, you know.
Oh yeah, and believe me, when it comes to that type of thing too, like I will be I've been in moments where, like, because people call me up for advice, you know, and fascinating enough, I've had people call me up for relationship advice, and I've been single 5 years. Ain't that hilarious? I don't know, right amidst all the wrong. But anyway, that being said, a friend of mine once had a breakup, and it was weighing heavy on her, so she called me up, and you know, and whatnot, was just talking about it, and I said, well, it's going to be okay. You're going to bounce back. Well, then the next morning, I decided to reach out to her. And instead of asking her, like most people, how you doing? How are you feeling? I decided to be different. And I can't tell you where it came from. I think the man upstairs in my brain, how it works. But I simply asked her, how's your heart lately? And she
Oh,
came back without missing a beat and said, still seems to be in pieces, but it's still beating. And I was like, oh, I'm writing a song about you.
that's
Oh,
prolific. Yeah.
I wrote it. I got in a room with my friend Galatza, who I've written a few songs with, a great artist in town as well. And we hashed out that song, and I sent it to her, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, that made me cry." And then every girl that hears it goes,
Oh,
"Oh my gosh,
yeah.
he's to me." So it's
You
amazing
know,
how that
oh,
happens sometimes.
Well, you know what? That's a simple act of kindness right there. It's just asking each other, like, hey, how are you feeling? And sometimes people, I think, fear the answer because they don't have time. But it's important to make that time for the people you care about, like, hey, how's your heart feeling? Because honestly, everybody's feeling a lot right now, like I know I am. So, that's part of the reason why I'm even doing this show and talking to you people,
Mhm.
but like I think it's good to know that somebody's there for you.
Well, someone once told me you have something to say that somebody else needs to hear, but also the caveat of that is somebody else has something to say that you need to hear.
Oh
Every
yeah.
everybody, needs encouragement. I'm an encourager. I love giving advice, but I also love building people up. I'm doing this challenge right now that I started this year. We're on day 15 of positive 365, and people write down their name in the middle, and for 365 days, every day out of the year, they write a positive word about themselves. And I'm on day 15, and right now it's exhilarating. It's making excitement, ecstatically happy, right? And the beauty about that is whenever you choose to be there for someone, you're doing two things. You don't even have to say something. It's amazing how many people just appreciate somebody listening.
Yeah.
Me, myself, even the encourager needs to be encouraged at times. So whenever I have my moments when I feel like I'm too much, I can only take so much of listening to somebody else and their stories. I got to go to my person and get it off my chest and what I'm feeling. I get re-energized and I go right back at it. Even the listener needs to be listened to. And that's one thing that I find that I love doing. I don't care if they call me up at 2 a.m. I've had my old bosses call me up just to vent about their family. Praise
Yeah.
God. I get to be that person that everybody calls a go-to. And, the other side of that is not everybody has the energy and time to give it back to you the same way. And that's fine. Not everybody's meant to do that, but
Yeah.
God's given you a gift truly to be that listener and that person. And I may not even relate to the daggum situation, but for some reason they decide to just open up with me. And I find that fascinatingly awesome.
It's the energy you give off, and that honesty, and that's what those people are looking for. They're looking for somebody to make them feel good. And I mean, that's a huge compliment to you and your character. Like I take it as a compliment when people come to me, because it's like, wow, well, they're trusting that they're trusting in me because they feel that I'm gonna make them better, you know.
Right. Yeah, no,
But
I agree. And I love being that person. I will
yeah, I
hurt
do too.
someone laugh or smile.
Definitely. It's cool.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, why do you think it's important for us all to contribute our gifts to the universe?
Well, I think that's what makes the world go round properly. For us as humans, I'm a Christian, by the way, so I'm a firm believer in the man upstairs. Everybody was given talents and gifts to go through life and show that the Bible tells us to glorify God through our gifts, but also I think we help each other figure out. Like my dad, he was a youth pastor, and his gift was finding what was hiding inside of you that was a gift that you didn't even know existed.
Hmm.
And sometimes like whenever I'm doing this positive challenge, I'm seeing people's words that they're putting down on Facebook, and I'm like, ooh, I can apply that one to my life. Ooh, I didn't even think of that one, like that, because it's like a domino effect at that point, because you're affecting others and you're also getting yourself a good dose of like energy and a reboost, I guess you can say. Um, if people decide not to use them, then what kind of differences are we going to make in the world? We're just going to walk around like a bunch of robots saying, I'm supposed to do this today. I'm supposed to go to my 9 to 5 job and go home and go to bed. No.
Yeah.
If you think that and that's what you're passionate about, fantastic. I know people that are so passionate about cleaning toilets. Oh, thank God I get to clean a toilet. That's what is fantastic. I mean, the most of the water that I test is wastewater driven. So, I like to tell people my job's the shit. Haha. But anyway, um, but
Sure is,
anyway,
right?
yeah. But anyway, so on a serious note, if you don't use what you've been given, even whenever you go into college, they teach you all these things. It doesn't mean you're not necessarily going to be successful at what you're doing, but it might take you a little bit longer to get there. And it might be a little less exciting once you actually get there. I love the fact that my degree in music was commercial music performance. And that's why I've been able to write continually with the commercial mindset. And it paid off quite well for me. And I like to also throw it in my conversation. So, yeah.
That's pretty
Be thankful,
awesome.
though. I haven't said the word dadgum yet, and usually I've said it about 15 times. So something's
I love it. So, okay, Justin, what musical goals? Let's go back to your music. What do you have up and coming for 2021?
2021, I got all kinds of things that are fun. Sorry, I love rhyming things. Okay. But
Such a songwriter.
I have hopefully, we have a lot of irons in the fire. I will say that, and God willing, we will make those things come to pass. But I have a single that I'm working on right now in the studio. We go back next week for recording the final vocals, and it'll be coming out hopefully around the mid to end of March, if we can make it happen. And that's my goal this year, putting out more content, more music, and keeping that going, because my audience, literally, I'm thinking about putting out an EP just because I have an audience telling me. One audience is saying put out singles. The other audience is saying, if you had an EP, I'd buy it from you. Well, heck, I only get 0 point some odd cents whenever someone streams it versus $7 to $10 whenever they buy it.
Yeah, I think you got to just do what feels right. Yeah.
And I think it's important to try to incorporate both, and show that both of them mean just as much to you. So I'm going to be focusing on that this year, is getting my EP ready for release.
Cool. Could you tell us like a little bit about it? Or is there like a theme, or are the songs just kind of?
Oh yeah, there is a theme. It's heartbreaks, because for me, something that intertwines, whether it's the hassles of others and the heartbreaks of my own, or the heartbreaks of others and the hassles of my own. So that's something that's always been around in my life, because I'm that go-to, and I love hearing people's stories. So that's what the theme is. So a lot of it is going to be the hassle of love and not having it yet, which is totally fine. I have it in my DNA, and I was telling someone the other day, everybody looks for love in all the wrong places, but they might find it if they look my way. No. Any ladies out there? Kidding, but no, but seriously, is that is going to be my main thing, and there is a positive energy that you can take from a sad song, and make it a beautiful ballad, or you can tear people down, but the energy can still be positive. Like the message could be sad and everything like that, but Chris Stapleton does it all the time. Keith Urban's done it several times. Those are people that are going, they can do it. Why the heck can't I do it? And so I'm
Justin.
not going to, I'm telling you, dadgum, there goes my dadgum. Shoot, sorry, crap. Either way, I've got a great team and people that believe in how I want to say something. Now, there is going to be a song on that EP called Just in Love, and people better be ready for what it is once it comes, because that's all I can say. Let those words sink in and think about who I am. Then you just might figure it out. But there's a mystery in that one.
I love it. Well, I look forward to learning more about what that mystery, or unraveling that mystery. Well, will we unravel it by the end of the song?
You should. I'm not one to put up facades or fronts. I'm pretty daggum straightforward with what I want to say. And once people catch on to how I'm saying it, hopefully they figured it out by the end of the song.
I love it. Justin.
Yeah.
Before we leave each other, what is the most important message you'd like to extend to your fans and to our audience during these times? Leave us something with good, something positive.
Don't be afraid to stand up. But one thing I've been telling people that like to have their voice heard, One thing I've always told myself is sometimes you speak the most volume when you simply don't say a word. And sometimes that is needed, especially right now, because you might want to fire off something. I mean, I don't follow too much on politics. I don't believe I have to. Everybody else follows them enough. I can just literally turn on my feed on Facebook and I mean, everything. And so the thing that I want to leave with is love to live and live to love. Those are the two things that I would say. No matter how you do it, just do it that way. Love to live and live to love.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Justin,
I love it.
thank you so much for being a part of our show. Where can our audience listen to your music and go download your EP when it's all finished?
Huh. They can go find me on all the socials and everything like that. The easiest way would be justinlovemusic.com. And by the way, I appreciate you, Amanda, for having me. And I truly apologize. I didn't get to sing for you, but hopefully we get to do this again and I will make it up and maybe I'll even do a preview of the song that I was talking about. So,
I love it. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Justin, kick ass at your show tonight. Thanks again. And it's a pleasure again to know you. Hey, I'm going to welcome Andrew Brady of Rochester's Next Generation. Andrew, how you doing? Thank you for being on the show, on our show.
I'm doing pretty well, thanks. And I'm grateful to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Can you share with our audience just a little bit about you and your role in Next Generation Rochester?
Yeah, so I grew up in Rochester, spent the first 18 years of my life here, and then was gone for college. I was and when I came back, found this organization called Next Gen, and really what it is a philanthropic giving circle, but we like to say basically that it's crowdsourced philanthropy, right? So as young professionals, we may not feel like we have enough money to go, fund a big program or get your name on a building or, make a big impact. So what we do instead is that members can give as little as $100. Some give more, but 100 is the threshold. And then we pool all of our money together. And this is an annual thing that we do where we give out grants and give out grants all around Rochester. And so even though, again, maybe as a young professional, you feel like you don't have enough to make a huge impact, when we pull it all together, over the last 11 years that we've been around, we've given out more than $100,000 in grants. So it's something where all together, yeah.
I love the whole concept of this because, I think a lot of people fear, sometimes not being they feel like they can't give because they don't have enough or we're all trying to get by in some way, right? But that guilt kind of rides, so it's kind of nice to see that with a donation such as $100 how far it could take somebody else, and also the power of banding together, what a few small impacts, what seems like small donations could collectively bring to somebody's life. That's amazing. So
yeah.
who founded this?
So this was founded by there's six people that founded it way back in 2009, and they kind of stewarded the organization because again it's a young professional organization, and they've since phased out. I always joke, we don't ID, but some people feel like that they're they get to a certain level, so they're now kind of helping as mentors, we call them, and really being able to grow the organization for the next gen, so to continue to bring in new young philanthropists and kind of get them engaged in the community, whether that's through volunteering or donations or other ways that they can get involved, so that hopefully it proliferates over time.
Do you think in the future that this is something that might spread beyond Rochester?
Yeah, I don't know how much. I'm sure we're not alone. I'm sure that there's other organizations that maybe follow some kind of similar framework. I mean, in general, philanthropic giving circles are fairly common, but one focused on young professionals, and again focused on a more accessible kind of buy-in level at $100, I think is fairly unique. So I would love to see it grow, especially, there's so many challenges always, but especially over the last year or so. And so we were happy that we were still able to raise just about as much money as we usually do in a typical year. But those dollars really felt like they were as urgent as ever in terms of the need.
Sure. Does it amaze you? Like, I mean, for me, doing this show and finding non-for-profits like yours, and it's outstanding to see how many amazing people there are in our community, and just in general, extending to the rest of the states. Like, there's a lot of people that are out there to bring some good to their communities and to bring some positive change to the lives of people that are less fortunate. I just love learning about causes like this. I think it's so great. Do you ever feel like, so working with Next Gen, does it blow your mind to see the same thing, like what I was just saying, like just seeing how many amazing causes there are? How do you
Absolutely.
choose?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's tough. So yeah, one kind of just a little bit kind of more in the nuts and bolts of how we give out our grants is that, after at the end of the year, we kind of end our year at the end of the third quarter, because then in November is what we have our annual meeting. And so we put out, a few months beforehand, kind of a request for grant proposals and see what kind of organizations can put something out there that might be of interest to our members to try to fund. And then one of the hardest things that we do is whittling down all of those great applications to usually about 8 or so. And then we even the hardest part is that then all 8 of those that are kind of the finalists, we joke, we call it the philanthropy Shark Tank, because these 8 organizations come and present to our members, like, here's what I'm going to do, or here's what I'd like to do with this money. And, here's what would happen and what we hope the impact would be. And then we have all of our members kind of, they can obviously ask questions for clarification and things, but, over the course of this evening, you're blown away by the number of people that are doing incredible things in Rochester. And as you mentioned, I'm sure you could go anywhere and they'd be doing just these incredible things. And these people that are so passionate, and often we end up funding organizations that, aren't necessarily like national or huge organizations, because our grants are smaller, they're in the like $2,500 range. So compared to some of these national organizations with $1 million budgets. But that's almost a feature and a benefit that I appreciate, because I
Andrew,
have no idea about their having such an impact, and it's so energizing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what a great way to surround yourself with some truly beautiful people. People that are not only professional and passionate, but, well, yeah, both those things, professional and passionate, and that they have a beautiful heart. Underneath all of that they are looking to impact people positively. The best way they know how. And I think that's really powerful, like for for what you guys are doing. And that was my impression too, like when I was reading up about you guys and learning more. Definitely had, like, that was my thought. It's like almost like a Shark Tank, the Shark Tank show. I love that it gives that opportunity for these non-for-profits to step in front of someone and to present, this is where my heart is. This is what I've been doing. I'm sure they appreciate that opportunity, because not only are they getting in front of you, but they're getting in front of all these other non-for-profits as well. So
yeah, I mean, that's another thing, is just being able to, as you're saying, just kind of speak from their heart and talk about what they're passionate about and what they really dedicate their lives to. It opens up again, because they may not be that organization that has can do the big pitch to some huge organization and huge funders. They may not have the glossy, the really fancy website and the glossy little flyers and brochures and things, but when they're speaking from the heart, you can really feel that, and it's really just remarkable. And I'm always just astounded by the number of passionate and giving and loving people that we have in our community.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, how many members are part of Next Gen currently?
It fluctuates every year. So, it's, some people, we were down a little bit this year because obviously some people weren't in a position to be able to, make some of these donations with discretionary income and things, but it fluctuates, anywhere from probably 50 to 100 people every year. So we're a
Wow.
small but mighty group. But I always say, one of the best kept secrets in Rochester, but nobody wants to be a best kept secret, right? You want to get the word out. So that's why
Definitely.
we're so grateful for opportunities like this to, speak to your audience, and hopefully maybe there's some people listening that might be interested in checking it out.
Sure, I hope so. And I mean, for them, so like if they wanted to become a member, how do they go about doing that?
Yep. So you can go to nextgenroc.org, and you can actually read up on some of the, all the history of the grants that we've given, and the different organizations that we've supported over the years. And you can also, of course, make a donation. Like I said, it's $100 over the course of the year. So whether you can afford to do $100 all at once, or you need to break it up into monthly payments or whatever, you can do that as well. But then also we try to do different engagement opportunities. Obviously, that's been a little bit more difficult throughout the last year, but we're going to be having throughout 2021 basically some virtual events to just kind of check up on some of those people that we're so astounded by, and that we're so passionate talking about their organizations that we gave them grants in the past, and just kind of checking up and seeing how they're doing and how the organization's doing, and seeing where our grant dollars have gone. So even if you're not a member, you can go to find us Next Gen Rock on Facebook, and we'll be posting when we have those meetings, and you can just join in and learn about some of the past grants. So even if you aren't ready to make a donation yet, but you just kind of want to check it out and get to meet some of both the grantees, but also the fellow Next Gen members, you can do that there as well.
So Andrew, after you all select your non-for-profit, is it just like your paid dues that you're paying forward to them, or are there additional fundraisers that typically go along with that in
Yeah,
support
great
of those
question.
groups?
Great question. Yeah, so we actually we have, for the first 9 or 10 years, we had it was just the grant dollars that we had. The membership dues, that what was given, 100% of our dues, so to speak, are funneled directly to these organizations. So what we've been doing over the past couple of years is working on getting some corporate donors and some organizations that want to support, as well as some of those members, that were founders that have aged out. And we've been taking some of those dollars to start an endowment, so that it doesn't just have to be our monthly or our annual donations, but we also can now have an endowment, which, just like many nonprofit organizations that are grant givers, have some money set aside, so that when they hopefully make a little bit of money on the stock market or wherever they have that invested, that there's additional dollars to give. So we've had those opportunities with some local organizations that are willing to support. And like I said, some of the members that have aged out that are also willing to support. So we actually just hit our goal of having the endowment, so that we can start taking some money off from each year for interest accrues. So starting this next year will actually be the first year that we have more than just our donations to give. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Congrats. And yeah, I mean, I bet you could do, I mean, once things get back to normal, kind of make it like a social for all the members too, right? So if you put out like a fundraiser, so here's our selected fundraiser, here's what we already donated, but that opportunity to raise more dollars, and maybe to even have that fundraiser speak, in front, on behalf of, what they're doing. It's a
Yeah.
little idea.
Yeah, we typically only we do that, kind of have like an open house every spring, and we'll have oftentimes somebody speak like that, and just try get people together, both members.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was one of the things that I think we really missed out on, because we are a social group. And as much as I've met so many passionate people of the grantees in the past, I've also met a really close group of the members that are continuous members. And just it's great to surround yourself with people who are really community minded and engaged and giving, and it's energizing to be a part of the community. So as with many organizations, have to pivot a little bit for now, but hopefully can't wait till we can get back to some of those more social gatherings.
Sure. Yeah, me too. What life perspective has your work within your non-for-profit brought you?
It's as I mentioned earlier, just some of the incredible people that you really have no idea. Some of the people that are dedicating their lives to some of these young people, or whatever their specific passion is, and whatever impact that they're trying to make. But for me personally, so I was born in, my parents, when I was born, they lived in the city of Rochester. And when I came to be close to school age, Rochester has had a really struggling school district for a very long time. And so when I came to be school age, they moved out to the burbs. They were one of those kind of people, right? And so that always really struck me. Not only one, that they were in a position where they could do that, to move to the suburbs for better schools, but so like why me, and why was I fortunate enough to be born to these parents that could do that? But also, why should anybody have to move to get a decent education? And so that really hit me pretty hard. And it is, so for me, it's always been, especially, even though we're Next Gen Rochester, a lot of our grants are often directed to the next gen, like the really young people, and whether that's education driven, or getting different talents and skills built up. Like one of the organizations that we supported this past year was Encompass, and they have a What's Cooking program. And so they were teaching young kids to cook, and not only to give them those skills, but also to spend family time, also to learn how to cook more healthy. And so, like, a lot of times we are kind of paying it forward to hopefully the next generation, so that their educational opportunities and job opportunities can flourish. And I think, as the theme of this whole show, right, it all comes back in the long run to help, whether or not you directly, it certainly helps our community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so talking about giving, in what ways has giving made you richest?
It's really feeling embedded in the community, and connected to the community. I mentioned, I was gone for 7 years out of Rochester. And then when I came back in 2012, coming back to a city that I had been gone for 7 years. And even though Rochester was home, it really, I didn't, other than a few people that I still knew from high school, and other than, my family, of course, I didn't really know anybody. And Next Gen was actually one of the first things that I got involved with, because I just recognized that not only did I need to get connected to, to people in the community, but also that I wanted to be a certain kind of a person, a person that was engaged in the community and connected. And I think we all, during various lockdowns and quarantines and everything, have really recognized and appreciated even more how much we are connected to each other, how much we draw energy from being around other human beings. And so I hope anyways that when such things are possible without such restrictions in the future, that we appreciate it a little bit more. I think also just the fact that we are all connected. You mentioned some of the things previously of, some being able to give, and, like I'm in a position gratefully where I've been able to be a part of Next Gen and give $100. And some people may not be in that position, or they may be on the receiving end, but I think that's always changing, right? Like being able to be in a part of a community where, you can get help when you need it. I think a lot of people, maybe this pandemic was the first time that they had to apply for unemployment insurance. Maybe this pandemic was the first time that they had to, ask for help or go to a food pantry or any of those things. And so being a part of that community, even if you're not using some of those services right now, even if you are one of the ones that are making some of those services available, it's a beautiful thing to be a part of a community where that's available if and when you need it. Because many of us don't know when we might.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? It's beyond monetary, like that's what we were talking, like Justin and I were talking before, it's there'll be times where you might be able to be a little bit more generous than others, right? But there's still ways that we could positively impact one another and give ourselves, I think really giving your time is the most like the most beautiful gift anybody could give you, because time is it's nonstop, right? And we all have a million things that we could be doing or are already doing. I can't talk today. But like just giving people that moment of truth and showing them that you care and being that shoulder to cry on, every so often. We all need that, that's the human factor in all of this. Like we are all people experiencing real emotions, and sometimes we just need to stop everything and be there for the people we love. You know,
Couldn't agree
what
more. I think
yeah,
that time piece is so important. You could have no money or you could be a millionaire, but we all have the same 168 hours in the week. And so,
yeah,
that's being someone who's giving of your time, oftentimes speaks even more.
yeah, I think so for sure. What impact do you wish to leave?
You know, I hope you've got me dreaming even bigger than I was thinking before. Because I would love to
Good.
see kind of this concept spread to other places. So certainly here in Rochester, like I said, I feel like sometimes we're the best kept secret, and we don't want to be, right. Like we're glad that we got a good thing going, but we want more people to know about it, because then the pooled money is even larger. The number of grants we can give out, or the size of those grants, can be even larger. But that community of people that are members also can continue to grow. And so we hope that we can grow our organization. But we also hope that, we can focus. Like I mentioned earlier, we often have our grants that are focused on the next gen, right? Like young kids and education and some of those things that are really important to the future of our community. And so we hope that we have a great impact on that next generation. And hopefully it hasn't happened yet, probably because we haven't been around quite long enough, but hopefully there's some people down the road that, that once benefited from some of our grants when they were young, and then go on to become members, because they've luckily, benefited from not only our grants, but other help and support in the community, so that they can now be on the giving end. And so we'd love to see that, it's kind of a generational thing where there's certainly young people that have benefited and are now giving. And so we hope that it has, even in our small way, everybody pitching in, that we can have that impact on the future of Rochester. Because, the school district has struggled for a long time. We have really high levels of poverty in Rochester that are just a few miles away from some people that have plenty of money. And so being able to make that opportunity more broadly shared, I think is really our goal.
Andrea, I love this. Keep doing beautiful things. I mean, this is a wonderful cause and a wonderful thing that you're all doing. And I wish you luck.
I'm so
One more
grateful for
time.
the opportunity. Thanks again.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Can you tell our audience one more time where they could be directed to Next
Yep.
Gen?
So nextgenroc.org, or you can find us on Facebook. And like I mentioned, we'll have several events posted over the next few weeks that'll be kind of connecting with our members. And you can also find on the website information to contact me directly if you have any questions. But hopefully we can continue getting the word out and continue having an impact. And then the best part, make sure you get your $100 donation in before November, because that's when that's when the Shark Tank happens. So we'd love to have more members that are voting and involved for that.
I love it. And I did want to mention Homesteads for Hope. I saw that they were one of your highlighted causes.
Yeah.
They're alumni to Afternoon
Love it.
Cocktail. So
They're an
yeah,
incredible
I love
organization. Jenny Ray's amazing.
Yeah, she sure is. And it is. Yeah. Thank you so much, Andrew. Good luck to you.
Thanks so much.
So,
Grateful for.
oh, thank you. So today's theme was giving back. And I'm going to leave you with my final thoughts. Meaning never comes from what you get, it comes from what you give. It's about showing support, sharing your time, showing empathy, and spreading love to those in your life, community, and beyond. These are times where we all can use a little lift. So be the ripple that puts the ocean into motion. When we witness the positive actions of those around us, it inspires us and it encourages us and others to want to do the same. It's that natural high of knowing that even in the darkest of times, there is good to be found in this world. Embrace everything you have to offer, because offering your authentic self in a way that benefits the growth of another, that inspires positive change, that helps someone recognize their potential, and that makes them want to pay forward the meaning that you brought to their life is the greatest contribution anyone could give. The generosity of spirit that lies within each and every human being is extraordinary. It's now up to us to rise to the challenge of leveraging it during these uniquely challenging times. You guys keep spreading good energy because it's contagious. Thank you for tuning into Afternoon Cocktail. We are going on break after today and gearing up for part 2 of season 4. Please catch up on all our previous episodes. Thank you again to Justin Love and Next Gen Rochester. Big thank you to Beau Productions and to all our show sponsors, Rochester Woman Online, Blades Events and Catering. Go order your food and get an excellent lunch from them down on University here. We also have IT Insights of Rochester, Mr. Chris Sirianni. Make sure you check him out for all your tech support needs. And who am I forgetting? James Farley of Northwestern Mutual, Maiden Voyage Studios, and Bridget Hogue of Empire Realty. You guys take care. Have a great weekend. See you in 2 weeks.